So, Extradimensional Crisis is here. We got Ultra Beasts making their TCG Pocket debut, and maybe with them bringing a little bit of a meta shift, but we'll have to see how that all plays out. Anyways, the set's been here for a couple days now, and I'm going to take a look at all the new cards here today, and talk about some of the ones I'm most excited to play with in this new season. Let's get to the cards. So here we go. We got all the cards from Extradimensional Crisis, set A3A, right here. We're going to take a look at them. We'll start with the grass types. You got Petalil and Lilligant. These ones are just basically pack filler. A lot of these cards that are just vanilla, one attack, no effect type cards, they're just pack filler, and these ones are no exception. Nothing that stands out here. A 60 HP basic that hits for 20. 110 HP stage 1, 60 damage for 2 energy. Then we got the Rowlet line. This Rowlet is probably outclassed by the other Rowlets. I think if you're playing Decidueye, you want to be able to hit anywhere. You want that Skill Dive Rowlet. The Dartrix, though, this Dartrix has Skill Dive. So it has some reach, which is super nice. It can set up some Cyrus plays. It can set up some plays with Decidueye EX, should you choose to evolve into that version of Decidueye. This is probably the one you want to play. This new Decidueye is pretty interesting. Damage, or 2 energy to do 70 damage anywhere. 70 damage on a sniping move is pretty good. You can pick off Oricorios with 1 hit. You can pick off some partially damaged bench sitters that your opponent ran away with already. You're probably going to want to pair it with something that does a little more damage. 70 is not super great. You probably want a harder hitter than that somewhere in your deck, but for 2 energy being able to hit anywhere, kind of an interesting card. This one might not be bad. Got the first EX of the set now. We got Buzzwole EX. And this one's seeing a lot of play. It makes a really nice combo with Celesteela, which we'll get to in a little bit. But 140 HP basic, 30 damage for 2 energy, 120 for 3 energy. With Big Beat, which has the drawback that during your next turn you can't use Big Beat. There's ways around that, Celesteela being one of them. You get Buzzwole out of the act of that flag resets. So you can definitely build a deck around cycling through Buzzwole and being able to use that 120 damage attack multiple times in a row. And it is seeing some play right now, and it seems pretty good. Next up, you got Pheromosa, a 70 HP basic Ultra Beast, does 20 damage for 1 energy, and also does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Pretty nice effect, because it can set up Cyrus plays and stuff like that for later on. Obviously, 20 is not a ton of damage, but there's certainly situations where that can make a difference. Pheromosa is seeing some play in the Buzzwole decks. I think it's not a bad card. Kartana, also not a bad card. We saw Farfetch see some play in some earlier TCG Pocket metas, and Kartana's basically just a type-shifted Farfetch, but being grass type is super nice. It gives you access to things like Erica and Leaf Cape. 40 damage for 1 energy is nice. You also have access to the whole Ultra Beast suite of tools. There's a couple nice cards for that. This thing hits even harder if you put Beastite on it. Obviously, you have to have taken points already. We'll get to Beastite a little later on in the video too. But that can be an option as a bit of a later game. Something got knocked out and you need Kartana to come in and clean up for 1 energy. Now we got Blacephalon, the only fire type in the set. Interesting that they only have 1, but 100 HP basic, also an Ultra Beast, 130 damage for 3 energy, which is a lot of damage, but it also does 70 damage to itself with Beat Punk. That's a lot of damage. Blacephalon can be pretty good at trading 2 for 1. Obviously, you need a little bit more than 130 a lot of times. You can get some free damage Pokemon, you can play Red, you can use Beastite, and you can get that damage up to a pretty good number. So there might be a way to play Blacephalon that makes it kind of good. Just because you can take out Pokemon EX with it. You're probably going to be knocked out coming back, but that's okay if you can get 2 points and your opponent only gets 1. Now we'll move on to the water types. There's only 3 of them. All 3 of them kind of have pack filler type vibes. Mantine's a 90 HP basic, does 50 for 2 energy. There's better things to play than that. Then you got the Carvanha line. Carvanha, 60 HP basic, 20 damage for 1 energy. Evolves into Sharpedo, which has 90 HP, it has that crunch attack, which on a flip you can discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. There's a few Pokemon with this attack in the game. None of them have really seen much play. Kind of a nice effect, but at the end of the day, 50 damage just isn't enough to get you very far, especially for going through the effort of getting a stage 1 in play. Got some electric types here, a brand new Luxray line. So this Luxio does a little bit more damage at the cost of a little bit of HP compared to the previous version of Luxio, but at the end of the day, you're probably not attacking with the stage 1, but you never know when it can come in handy. This Luxray, 130 HP, does 90 damage for 3 energy, and it has Intimidating Fang. As long as this Pokemon's in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active do 20 less damage. Gives you a little bit more survivability, but a lot of the defensive abilities like this just haven't seen a lot of play, and I don't see a lot of reason to use this Luxray over the other one. 90 damage for 3 energy on a stage 2, it's just not good. Like, 3 energy is a big commitment. You want a bigger return than 90 damage. Intimidating Fang doesn't really do enough to make up for that. You discard the energy of the Luxray, but I mean, you have an easier way to get it back, and it's way more versatile, being able to do 120 damage anywhere. 90 for 3 just isn't it, so I don't think this Luxray is going to see any play. Then Blitzel and Zebstrika, these are just more pack filler cards, I think. 60 HP basic that does 40 for 2. A 90 HP stage 1 that does 70 for 2. Really want to do 70 damage for 2 energy for some reason. An electric deck. You've got Genetic Apex Electrode, which also has a free retreat cost. Zebstrika does not have a free retreat cost, so I don't think you're playing this guy for any reason. We got Emolga, 70 HP basic that does 30 for 1 energy, but this is really just outclassed by Togedemaru. If you want to play an aggressive starting electric deck, Togedemaru is just straight up better. Tapu Koko EX, though, this is one that there's some speculation that this might bring electric decks back a little bit. So with Tapu Koko, we have 130 HP basic Pokemon. For 1 lightning energy, Plasma Hurricane, 20 damage. Attach an electric energy from your energy zone to Tapu Koko. Then you have Mach Bolt, which does 90 for 3 electric energy. Now, 90 for 3 electric energy, not a super efficient attack, but obviously Plasma Hurricane helps out a lot with that. You're basically doing 90 damage on turn 2, or on your second attacking turn. That's pretty strong. Pikachu EX did that conditionally in the original set. Obviously, or actually 2 energy, not 3, so you could power it up on the bench technically. But Pikachu EX no longer sees any play, so that 90 for 2, is it good enough? I don't know. This damage output might be a little bit low, but I don't like getting hit for 90 damage on my opponent's second attacking turn, right? Kind of a lot of damage pretty quickly to deal with. Tapu Koko plays really nicely with Electrical Cord, which is the Pokemon tool in this set that we will get to a little bit later too. Anything that can generate some extra energy plays really nicely with that card, and I think that is a good card that might have more to do with bringing Electric back than anything else, if Electric does indeed come back. So, I don't know, Tapu Koko, not a bad card by any means. Kinda remains to be seen just how good it can be. Circuitry, 100 HP basic, another Ultra Beast. For 1 lightning and 2 colorless, it does 60 damage with Electronica, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. Trying to get 3 energy on this thing seems like a problem, and doing 60 damage for all that effort, with confusion, but still only 60 damage, it doesn't seem to be worth all the effort. Now, I don't know if maybe there's a way, because you can power it up faster with Lusamine in certain situations, that this thing becomes decent coming in after a KO, but I don't know. Seems a little underwhelming to me. Now, Zeraora is super interesting. This is a 90 HP basic with the ability Thunderclap Flash. At the end of your first turn, take an electric energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon. Then it has Lightning Claw for 2 electric energy, 50 damage. 50 for 1 manual attachment, but because Thunderclap Flash activates at the end of your first turn, the attacking schedule doesn't really change. Like, you're not doing 50 on turn 1. However, the fact that it generates its own energy is nice, right? It's always nice to have a card that's a little bit self-sufficient, gives you a boost in the amount of energy you have in play, and this definitely does that. Accordingly, I think it also plays really well with electrical cord. So this can be a decent aggressive electric starter. I don't know if it's the best one, but this guy will see some play as people try to figure out if they can make it work. Moving on to the Psychic types, and Psychic in this set is very underwhelming. There's pretty much nothing here. There's one card at the end, but you got a lot of pack filler with Clefairy and Clefable. 60 HP basic, 10 damage for one colorless. A Fable is 100 HP stage 1, 60 damage for a Psychic and a colorless. Phantom is a 70 HP basic that does 30 for a Psychic and a colorless. Trevenant is 120 HP stage 1 that does 70 for a Psychic and 2 colorless. None of these cards are anything good, and it's kind of unfortunate because Trevenant is pretty cool. Trevenant also has a beautiful shiny, and with the focus they have on shinies, give us a playable Trevenant with a shiny variation. That would be awesome. I want to see that. This is not that. Morlul and Shinotic. Now, Shinotic has a really interesting ability. Illuminate. Once during your turn, you may put a random Pokemon from your deck into your hand. That sounds pretty good. It sounds like something that can boost your consistency pretty well. The only problem is, you gotta dedicate a 2-2 Shinotic line, 4 deck slots to get that boost. And how many times are you just going to pull out the rest of your Morluls and Shinotics with Illuminate? I think that Illuminate is kind of counterproductive, unless you were playing Shinotic anyway, but why would you ever do that? I just don't think this is going to work out in practice as well as it sounds like it will work out in theory. I think you'd rather just use those 4 deck slots for more trainer cards or something else that helps your consistency a little more than Shinotic will. It would be a great ability on a basic, but I think there's a reason that ability's not on a basic. I think it would be too good. On a stage 1, it's just not good enough, I don't think. Next up, we got the Metacham line. I guess we're into the fighting types here. We got the Metacham line. I won't spend too much time on them. This is another one of those vanilla pack filler lines. Claydol has an interesting ability, though. Baltoy and Claydol both use only colorless energy. So you can put them in any deck. Kind of put them in any deck anyway, because if you're attaching energy to Claydol to attack, something's gone bad for you already. That is not the plan. You need 3 energy to do 50 damage. At this point, you're pretty close to just hitting the concede button, right? You don't want to attack with Claydol. Claydol's here for its ability. But the ability here, Heal Block. Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's, can't be healed. Healing is pretty prevalent in Pocket, so disrupting that can be pretty nice. I can definitely see why you might want to do that. I personally don't really think it's worth the commitment to the deck spots. I don't know if a 1-1 line is worth it if you're gonna find it enough to matter. And I think a 2-2 line is a really big commitment just to block off some healing cards. I think people might try to make this work. My personal take, probably not worth it, but I can see a world where I'm proven wrong on that as well. We got a new Lycanroc. Lycanroc EX. This thing is 150 HP stage 1. It does 130 for 2 fighting and a colorless. And you have to discard a fighting energy from this Pokemon. It comes off a little underwhelming. The nice part is you can grab this with Signs of Evolution Rockruff, which is the only Rockruff you're ever going to... This one, it doesn't matter. Signs of Evolution is just way too strong of an attack. If you're playing Lycanroc, you're using that Rockruff. Now, you do have access to stuff like Lucario, and play Red. So there's ways to boost this guy up above 130. 130 is not enough damage. I don't know if playing 2 lines of stage 1s, like for example Lycanroc Lucario, going to be consistent enough. You do need to boost this guy's damage output a little bit. The other problem is like regular Lycanroc, get him right away. He attacks for 2 energy. This one you're gonna have to wait a turn after you evolve or whatever. Like you play Rockruff, give it a fighting energy, use Signs of Evolution. You can't just attach the second energy and attack if you're using Lycanroc EX. So I don't know, there's some things wrong with this card. And I think I would rather just play like Midnight Form regular Lycanroc. But man, I like the orange dog. I kind of hope that someone finds a way to make this one work. This Passimian is interesting. 100 HP basic. It does 40 damage for 2 fighting energies, but you have another Passimian on your bench, then that goes up to 80 damage. Only Passimian. Passimian EX does not count to this. So, I mean, that kind of sucks. That would make it a lot more consistent being able to do 80 for 2 if you could have either Passimian on it. But no, it's just this regular Passimian. Still, 80 damage for 2 on 100 HP basic. It's some pretty efficient damage. I think this is better than Pessimian EX. This one could be playable. Now we have a Palisand line, and man, I really want to see a Palisand line that's good because I love Acerola. I love the effect of that supporter. I want to see it work, but this isn't it. We got an 80 HP basic, kind of bulky. This whole line is kind of bulky. Dandygast is an 80 HP basic that does 30 for 2 energy. Palisand 130 HP stage 1 that does 90 for 4 energy. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. I mean, it's kind of a powerful effect, but when are you ever going to get 4 energy on this guy? I hope that at some point we see a Palisand or a Mimikyu. A card that works with Acerola that is actually like really strong, so that we can see that in the meta. I think that would be cool. But I don't think these guys are going to get it done. With the dark types, we have a new Alolan Persian line. Alolan Meowth for 1 dark energy. This card's a random Pokemon tool from your opponent's hand with metal. That's kind of a neat effect, but I think your opponent is not going to let you do that very often. The only thing I could see that potentially being useful for you for is if that's out there, you might scare your opponent into playing their Pokemon tools right away, and then you hit them with the Guzma, but that's like super situation. Alolan Persian for 100 HP does 50 for 2, and it paralyzes on a coin flip. That's not bad. Paralyzing is always a pretty good special condition to inflict, but I mean ultimately this is a pretty vanilla evolution line. I don't think we're going to see much of that. The Crocodile line is kind of interesting. Crocodile, a toxic card. The Sandile is a 70 HP basic that does 20 for 1. Rock is a 90 HP stage 1 that does 40 for 2. So I guess the nice thing there is still attacking kind of on curve with them. Crocodile, 140 HP. 2 dark and a colorless energy, poaching fangs, 90 damage. Flip 3 coins. For each heads, a card is chosen at random from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck. You get kind of lucky here. You hit them with a Mars or a red card, you flip a couple heads, their hand's gone. That's rude, but it's also awesome. I don't know how much play this is going to see because it's stage 2 and you got to get 3 energy on it. 3 energy is just kind of a weird amount. It's a big commitment, and a lot of times the effect isn't that good. But Poaching Fangs, I mean, if you manage to reset your opponent's hand to nothing, that's a really good effect. That's almost game winning, or it certainly can be in a lot of situations. So I think people will play this guy. I don't know if they'll play him in ranked. It's more of a fun deck than anything else. Well, fun for you, not fun at all for your opponent. I think it's cool. I kind of want to see it work. We have Nihilego now, a 70 HP basic. The ability is more poison. Your opponent's active Pokemon takes 10 more damage from being poisoned. A very aptly named ability. And then you got New Wave, which does 30 for 2 energy and inflicts poison. I love this card. I don't think a lot of people were expecting this to be the crown rare of the set, but I think the fact that they made it the crown rare is a sign that they know what they made. This is really good, in my opinion. It's not hard to get 2 Nihilegos on your bench. They're basics. You can set that up pretty easily. Even if you only have 1, it's really strong, right? Like, this makes poison decks really good. Granted, there is a lot of counterplay to poison. There's Arceus EX. If poison starts running rampant, people are going to play Arceus a little more. People are going to play Pokemon Center late. Going to play Big Malasada. Maybe. Kind of a weak card, but I mean, if poison's everywhere. There's a lot of ways to get around poison. That's kind of part of the reason that Venoshock was never really effective on any Pokemon. Like a little bit effective on Clodsire EX, but not strong, not meta by any means. If Nihilego makes poison too good, I think we'll start seeing more of those poison counters. But man, I think this is a strong card. I've already been trying to play it in a bunch of different decks to see how it goes. I just like this card a lot. I think it's going to be very strong. Guzzlord EX. This is the one that probably people thought was going to be the crown rare. That's the impression I get anyway. I think from the moment everyone saw this card, they thought it would be pretty good. That this was kind of like designed to be the next big meta card. I'm not yet convinced that it's as strong as that, but it is definitely very good. It's 170 HP basic. It tied for the highest HP among any basic. It does 30 damage for 2 colorless with Grind Core, which also gives you a free Team Rocket Grunt, basically. That's pretty annoying. And then you got Tyrannical Hole, 4 energy, 120 damage attack. Has a massive 4 retreat cost, but with Celesteela, you're not gonna notice that, at least not very often. I'm just a little bit worried about the damage output with this card. It's a little bit low, but I think there's a lot of synergy here, right? With 170 HP and then an attack that strips energy from your opponent's active, it's kind of built to survive long enough to get 4 energy on it, and then the damage output ramps up a little bit. This is a good card. This is a very good card. I don't know if it's the next meta card, like a Darkrai or a Giratina, but it's a good card. The other thing that's maybe holding it back a little bit is a weakness to grass. Grass is everywhere. Grass is already super effective against Darkrai, super effective against Guzzlord now. This guy doesn't really want to see Kartana. Probably doesn't really want to see Meowscarada. These are low energy attackers. They don't care a ton about losing their energy to Grindcore. So there's some bad matchups, and obviously anytime you get a flippy effect like that, it's very inconsistent. It's just inherently inconsistent. The effect has to be really good. It is very good on this card, but it's still a little bit of inherent inconsistency. Consistency wins game. Now we have Naganadel, and I wish Poipole and Naganadel were a little bit better. I love these two guys. Poipole for 1 dark energy. You flip 2 coins, it does 20 damage for each heads. Pretty standard evolving basic type attack. Naganadel has 100 HP, it does 40 damage, and inflicts poison for 1 dark energy. If you do have this in play with a couple Nihilegos, that can stack up pretty fast. It's a nice, cheap, low energy attacker. The thing is, if you're playing Naganadel and Nihilego, you need a heavy hitter in there somewhere. I don't know if that's going to be Darkrai, if it's going to be Guzzlord. You don't have that much flexibility because you're already using up 6 slots for Naganadel and for Nihilego. But I think this is something that people are going to try. I think it's something that I'm going to try because I really want to see the Poipole line be good. Alright, so into the steel types now. We have an Alolan Dugtrio line. The devs of Pocket sure love Dugtrio. Alolan Diglett is 60 HP, flip a coin. If heads, you do 40 damage. If tails, you do nothing. That's for 1 steel. As far as evolving basics go, it has a little bit of upside to it. It's not like 40 damage is KOing much anyway. Alolan Dugtrio is an interesting card. I don't think it's a good card, but it's an interesting card. It's kind of scary. It's going to be way too inconsistent to actually be like a meta threat, a high tier threat. But the fact that you get this thing down with 2 energy, you're threatening 180, you have like a decent chance of doing 120. On average, you're doing 90, and 90 for 2, like Starmie did 90 for 2, Pikachu EX did 90 for 2. These cards are not played anymore. So 90 for 2 on an EX Pokemon, we have established this is not enough. And that is the average outcome for Alolan Dugtrio. So like, this is a bad card, but if you like flipping coins, this is a fun card. And if you're good at flipping heads, really scary card to be up against. It's gonna high roll at times and people are gonna hate it, but ultimately, it's not a good card. Next up, we got the Aggron line. Line is built a little bit bulkier. The basic Aeron has 70 HP. The Stage 1 Lairon has 100 HP. And the Stage 2 Aggron has 160 HP. But the attacks are kind of slow. Right, Aeron attacks for 2 energy, it does 40. Lairon attacks for 3 energy, it does 60. Aggron attacks for 4 energy, it does 150 and can't attack during. It might be one thing if Aggron did enough damage to KO like lots of Pokemon EX, but 150 falls just short of a lot of things, so you're gonna need red or something alongside it. Even that falls short on Solgaleo. If you go through all the effort to get a Stage 2 out, put 4 energy on it, and you aren't guaranteed to KO, and then you can't attack on your next turn, it's over. Game over. This line's no good. It's pretty much unusable. Next up, we have the Ferrothorn line. With Ferroseed, you have a 60 HP basic that does 40 for 2 energy. It's like the same card as Aeron, but it has 10 less HP. Not a great start there, but I mean, you're playing it. It's for Ferrothorn. Here's Ferrothorn, 110 HP. 70 damage for 3 energy. This is a little underwhelming so far, but it does have the ability Steel Spikes, which is what we've seen basically on Druddigon and Palmot, under different names. And Poliwrath? I think Poliwrath from Kinetic Apex had the same thing. Anyway, if this Pokemon's in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, do 20 damage to the attacking Pokemon. That's fine, that's a nice ability, but it's a lot of work to get a Stage 1 out just for that ability. You could just play Druddigon if you want that effect. Stakataka, 110 HP Ultra Beast. Basic Pokemon. 40 damage for 2 energy. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 20 less. This one just feels like it's missing something. A little something. I don't know what the something is. Damage output, a little bit too low. 20 less damage is not quite impactful enough. I think Stack Attack is staying in the binder. This is one of the weaker Ultra Beasts in my opinion. And now we'll move on to the colorless types. We are almost there. Colorless types and the trainers to go. The Stoutland line has a pretty vanilla basic stage 1 with Lillipup and Herdier. The stage 2 has 140 HP. It does 70 for 2 energy. And it has the ability Guard Dog Visage. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon cost 1 more colorless. So this thing, offense-wise, is a lot like the original Pidgeot. 70 for 2 on a stage 2. We have stage 2s that can do 70 for 1. Granted, Ganon does not have any kind of ability, so... I mean, if your opponent's already attacking, they can just attach an extra energy. Go from there. There are some cards that probably don't want that extra energy there. It does cost them a turn to attach, which is gonna end up taking knockout on them at some point. Sure, you wasted an energy. I just don't think a lot of things will care that much about it. I guess with some energy disruption though, like if you're playing Team Rocket Grunt and stuff, it can make a difference. I don't know, I think it's an annoying card to go up against, but I think it's only annoying. I don't think it's strong. I don't think you'll be happy about having to play around it, but I think you can play around it. Okay, next up we have the Beware line. This Stuffle art, absolutely adorable. A+ on that art. And then there's Beware. For 3 energy, super powered hug, flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out. So this is way too much investment for something that's usually gonna fail. But imagine how mad it's gonna make people when it works. I don't know why they made this card. This is bad. This is a bad card. But man, is it gonna frustrate. If anyone tries to play it just for the memes, holy moly are people gonna be mad when it hits on them. Oranguru is a vanilla basic 100 HP, 70 for 3. It's no good. Type Null and Silvally. This Silvally might be my favorite card in the set. I've been playing around with it a lot. Rampardos is an obvious partner for it. I want to make it work with some other stuff. I've been trying water types. I'm playing around a lot with Silvally. I love this card. First of all, we got the basic though. Type Null, 80 HP. For 1 colorless, it does 20 damage, and you flip a coin. If heads, it does 20 more damage. This is a really good opener, and I think that's part of the reason Rampardos with Silvally is actually pretty strong. You're guaranteed to start with an 80 HP basic. It's not at risk of dying to anything right away. Might do 40 damage, might only do 20. Silvally's 110 HP, stage 1, 2 colorless energies, Brave Buddies, play a supporter from your hand during attack does 50 more damage. This is you're playing a supporter all the time. Like almost every turn. Like it's pretty hard to run out of supporters. This is a pretty reliable turn 200 damage. 90 for 2, we were talking about on the Pokemon EX, isn't great. But this is not a Pokemon, and it's doing 100 for 2. And it's off of colorless energies. I think there's a lot of potential with Silvally. I think people are going to find a way to make this card good. I think maybe they already did with Rampardos, but I'm hoping there's some other ways out there. I like this one a lot. And then we got Celesteela. This is a really good card too. This pretty much enables a lot of the Ultra Beast decks out there. It's 120 HP basic. The ability Ultra Thrusters. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Ultra Beast with one of your bench Ultra Beasts. And then for 3 colorless, it's got Moombaton, which does 100 damage. Flip a coin. If tails, this attack does nothing. This thing's in every Ultra Beast deck for Ultra Thrusters. There's some guys like Guzzlord with real high retreat costs. There's some guys like Buzzwole that need to get back to the bench to reset their... This Pokemon can't use Big Beat, and Celesteela makes all of that super easy. You can move your Ultra Beasts in and out of combat as you wish. The ability is so strong. Alright, now let's get into the trainer. We will start with Beast Wall. You can only use this card if your opponent hasn't gotten any points. During your opponent's next turn, all of your Ultra Beasts take 20 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. The effect seems a little bit underwhelming, given how restricted it is. An early game item card. I mean, I'd rather just be trying to set up early. In a deck that plays a lot of Ultra Beast and has some room for extra cards, try it out and see if it works for you. I think we found with Adaman that the effect wasn't strong enough for Steel type decks. Adaman was a supporter. Beast Wall's an item. It's got that going for it. But I think we'll probably find the same. Just taking 20 less damage is not usually impactful enough. Now we have the item card Repel, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Sabrina got power trapped hard with this one. We need to get that thought out because Sabrina is like a lot stronger. But having a variation on that effect on an item card still could be really strong. But Repel is very metagame dependent. So with Repel, you just switch out your opponent's active basic Pokemon to the bench. It's literally Sabrina, but it only works on basics. But when you want this kind of effect, like you really want this kind of effect, so if there's a lot of evolutions in the meta, you can't just play Repel as Sabrina replacement. Like I said earlier, consistency wins games. Repel is an unreliable. But if the meta goes basic heavy, then yeah, this on an item card, this effect on an item card is really good. It's definitely a powerful card. It will have a place in some decks. It's just not better Sabrina. Let's move on. We've got Electrical Cord, a new Pokemon tool. This is the one I was mentioning earlier that I think could play a role if electric decks are going to come back. I think this will play a big part in it. If the electric type Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, move 2 electric energy from that Pokemon and attach 1 to each of 2 of your benched Pokemon. That's very wordy, but basically, your active Pokemon's knocked out, you get to take 2 energy and attach them to your benched Pokemon. And with stuff like Tapu Koko and Zeraora that generate energy, they can use them for a little bit, they get knocked out, and you power something else up on your bench with it. This is why I think something with like Tapu Koko, Zeraora, and Pikachu, the one that hits for 150, discards all its energy, could actually be pretty good. You got strong early game there. Electric lacks some of that big punch other than Pikachu EX, and obviously with that Pikachu EX you have a really frail card. With Electrical Cord, charge that guy up fast, and that can come in and be your finisher. I think anytime you get some kind of energy acceleration, now you have a way to distribute that to your bench. I think that's good. You can put that on your leadoff like Togedemaru or Pachirisu or Zeraora or whatever it may be. Get some early aggressive attacks off, and you save that energy to power up something late. Now you have Beastite, Pokemon tool for Ultra Beasts only. Attacks used by the Ultra Beasts this card is attached to do 10 more damage to your opponent's active for each point you've gotten. Well, obviously this does nothing for them in the early game, but it can make some things pretty strong in the late game, right? Like this can be a pretty nice damage boost, and it can get you over some numbers that you need to close out the game at the end. And now we got Gladion. Gladion works very nice with Silvally. It adds consistency, and it triggers the plus 50 on its attack. Just put 1 random type Null or Silvally from your deck into your hand. Pretty much a must-have 2 of in those decks. So now we have Looker. This one's controversial, apparently. I don't really know why. So your opponent reveals all the supporter cards in their deck. This is bad. This is really bad. It's information, so I get it. I get why people want information. And yeah, there's some value if knowing your opponent happens to play a variant of their deck that has red in it, because not all decks play red. I think you should just be assuming in general that you need to play around Sabrina and Cyrus. So I don't see the use case there. But stuff like red that it's like there, maybe it's not. Maybe Guzma's a tech supporter that's only in certain decks. And yeah, it can be nice to have that information. But the thing is, it doesn't show you what's in your opponent's hand. It's only what's in their deck. So whatever information you get, it's imperfect. And if you're playing, but if you see that information, and now you're playing based on that information, and your opponent had that card in their hand the whole time, you might just play right into it. It's better early game than late, but you don't want to be playing a card that does nothing to advance your board early in the game. You're sacrificing what could be like a Professor's Research or something, or a Mars to slow your opponent down, or something along those lines, which you need to be playing these cards early in the game if you want to get set up properly. Just for some information. It's imperfect information anyway. If it actually told you all of the supporter cards, if what was in your opponent's hand too, maybe there's some use there. The way it's written, it's just a bad card. And finally, the last new card in the set, we have Lusamine. You can only use this card if your opponent has gotten at least 1 point. Choose one of your Ultra Beasts, attach 2 random energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. This is really good. Any deck that uses Ultra Beasts, unless you only have Ultra Beasts that are attacking for 1 energy, whatever reason, then you don't need Lusamine, obviously, but pretty much every Ultra Beast deck, you want this. Plan on attacking with Buzzwole at any point, you want Lusamine. You want Guzzlord at any point, you want Lusamine. If you want to attack with Blacephalon at any point, you want Lusamine. It's such a strong effect. It lets you pretty much instantly power up an Ultra Beast, right? Like, Guzzlord you need 1 previous energy attachment on. Buzzwole and Blacephalon can both attack right away. They could be sitting on your bench with no energy. Your opponent takes a KO, you send them up, attach 1 energy manually, play Lusamine, they're online. We're going to see it probably as a 2 of in every deck that's using the Ultra Beast with heavier attacking costs. So that's it for all the like new cards, but look at some of the art on these full arts and shinies. The rainbows in this set are so nice. Blacephalon, this is a really cool looking card. I like this Silvally. Very nice. Celesteela, perfect art for a thing that's basically an alien. Let's have some real appreciation for how good the art on the rainbows that are. This Tapu Koko, so cool. Lycanroc, Guzzlord, these are just really pretty cards. I love the art in Pocket. This set continued with that. I don't know if you've seen Immersive Buzzwole yet. This is probably my favorite Immersive so far. I can't say I would be super excited to pull a shiny Jinx. Not gonna lie. Don't think I want that one. But like, you got the Greninja line, which is a really good card and a really good shiny, so that's nice. You got Celebi, another really nice shiny. How much I like these shiny cards generally depends on how much I like the shiny. But I think they've got a few too many in these sets that are just not super playable cards. It would be nice to see shiny variants of more playable cards, but hey, it is what it is. So that's Extradimensional Crisis. Thank you guys for watching. This is the first video on the channel, but I plan to be uploading fairly consistently with some gameplay of new decks and talking about what's doing well in tournaments online and stuff like that. So if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and let me know in the comments what your favorite card from this set is. Whether it's one you're really excited to play or you just really like the art. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.